Jump into this. So we're going to talk about starting the year strong. We're going to be talking about our marketing calendar, how you're going to actually take what you want to do at the end of the year. So if you want to do $500,000, work your way back how you're going to do that in a year. So have a plan, execute the plan, be bold, and be confident. So intense and intentional. So for us, it's gearing up our marketing. Plan out when your marketing is going, when it goes out. What marketing will you be doing? Focus in tighter. So see how this stuff is kind of coming together, like we talked about tighter radius on the simple market research. Focus in tighter. Use the year before to mark out when your busy and slow times of the year are, because these are huge. When your slow time is in the year, you want to go back a month, and that's when you're going to do your marketing push to carry you through. A lot of people are like, yeah, we're real slow this time of year. You shouldn't be slow. You got to go back and figure out why you're slow, right? And then do that marketing push. Maybe it's EDDM, maybe it's the popcorn marketing, whatever is going to get that phone to ring. So build your startup plan. So mark out the year in advance. Predict ups and downs. So by tracking, you can predict your ups and downs, your ebbs and your flows, right? And then you can deal with them. So set goals for your target market and plan out how to reach them. So this is our marketing board right here. So up top, I have my month income here, and then I have my actual graph here. So what we do, and I will mark out what I do each month. So every year, like the green is what we wanted to do, the black is actually what we did do. So this is what we expected to do. This is actually what we did do. Does that make sense? So as you want to go through, say I want to do $30,000 in a month. Bam, put a pin there. I want to do this here. And you'll know, because the previous year, you'll know what you did that month, because hopefully you're tracking. And then you'll be able to put that there. And then every year, you want to expound on that, right? You want to beat that from the year before, right? Because you want to be growing. So that's what we did here. And then you could see we did a burst of flyers. So underneath that, I'm going to show you guys how to do this, but I do, January, February, March, April, May, June, and I do calendar months on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And I did this for Tim. We did it at I think we did a 6-month maybe, or 8-month.
No, because I still have it in my basement. That thing's huge. It's like 8 feet
long. Okay, yeah. So it's a really big map. Because we're visual, and you can actually see that now on there, and it's like, okay. I have this out on the first wall when you walk into the shop, so everybody in the company knows what we did and what goals, because you've got to pass that on to people in your company, right? So I'll put that in there, and then I mark off. See these green things? I'll mark off my good days, because you got rain, you got holidays, you got all that stuff that plays a part in our season. When we're busy, when we're slow, you got back to school. Nobody wants to deal with cleaning when all the kids come back, because they're like, I'm pulling my hair out, I want them to go back to school type deal, right? So you got to plan for that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about laying it out. So print out 6 to 12 months. So what I mean by that is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, whatever you want to do. You can start with 6 months, you can start with 12 months. If you want to do a whole year, that's what I recommend. If you're going to do this, do a whole year, right? 12 months, and then you can play it back. So this is what it's going to look like. So from up top, you're going to have this. In the middle, you're going to have your maps. And underneath that, you're going to have your target things. For me, it's residential, EDDM, apartment complexes, and hotels. But we'll go into that. Highlight holidays and your bursts of marketing. When you're going to do those pushes, right? Those 30,000 flyers. When are you going to do them? Put a dollar amount on each week and month. So you know every week I need to do X. If you want to do $8,000 in a week with one truck, great. If you're running 3-4 trucks at $8,000, put that number on there so you know what the goals are. If you don't have goals, you don't know where you're going, right? So when you need to do a marketing push, keep looking back at previous years. The more, the better. So depending, if you've been in business for 5 years, you'll have a better track record. If you've been in two years in business, you'll have the year before, right? So you won't know exactly what your ebbs and flows are, your market's doing. But the longer you've been in business, you can actually track that. Now we can predict what exactly we're doing. And like AC said, he knows exactly. It's a numbers game. I know what we're going to do this year. I know how to get where I want to be because of the numbers and the tracking. And then you can make predictions. So start with holidays and weather patterns. Predict how these may affect how many days you can work. So if you can only work 20 days in a month, that's going to predict what you're going to do in a month, right? So this will help you. But back up from each slow period and mark plans to increase marketing. So depending on where you want to be in your month, say you gotta, say you're at $20,000, you got to increase your marketing X to be at $40,000 a month. So this will all come together. So right here I have my burst of flyers, and that is March, April, or that's June. June, because July is our slow time. Everybody goes on vacation in July here. So what I do is I do a marketing push in June, so it will carry us over, because there's still going to be people here. You know what I mean? People go on vacation, great, but that's not everybody, right? So you need to find the people that are here and then have those people already on the calendar, so you're not in that month and say, oh, everybody went on vacation. Oh, well. You're not going to get these days back. You only have a certain amount of days in a year that is production. So if we miss a day, it's gone for the whole year. You can't make it up. So when I do my dispatcher, if she doesn't schedule something on Monday but she books it on Friday, I can't make Monday up. We start from Monday and book it out, because I can make Friday up. If I don't have work on Friday, you bet your butt on Monday I'm out hustling to book Friday up, right? That's what you got to do. So if you're a territory manager, you need to instill this in them, that they know, hey, this is my leads. This is what I'm going to make next week. Shoot, if I don't have quotes next week, what am I doing? This whole routine. I'm going to do simple market research. I'm going to be out there hustling, throwing flyers, knocking on doors, putting business cards out. Because you're dang well, sure, I'm going to be getting quotes next week, right? Because I need to book up the truck. That's our livelihood. So instill that in them, right? So back up from each slow period and mark out plans to increase the marketing. All right, so setting goals. So this is underneath the January, February, April, March. This is underneath that. So that's above here. So this is my residential. So this is back in the day. I wanted to do 180. It's funny because I want to do $180,000. We do $700,000 now in residential alone. And then I have my apartment management community. I wanted to do $90,000. So this is when I first started. I was like, no way, right? Because I was doing $120,000 total in a whole year. I'm like, no way. But everything is relative. So when you're in that paradigm of, I'm doing $350,000, or Kevin, I'm doing $100,000 in a year. He's like, I want to do $200,000 this year, right? How do I do that? Put $200,000 on the board and figure it out. Work your way back, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. So you put these things on here. So I have apartment management communities because I know I like doing apartments. So then I go in here and I figure out how I'm going to touch those apartments by doing a hit piece, by joining all my local and state associations. So here, you got your apartment association. I'm a member of that. A radius around my area, 4-hour bubble. I want to quote every apartment complex in a 4-hour bubble. Who in here has done that? Working on it. Why? Who told you to do that? Hey, if you put the target on there, hey, if you come in at 200,000 apartment complex or unsolicited proposals, that's a heck lot more than zero, a big fat zero, right? So you got to start somewhere. So put this stuff around here and figure out how you're going to hit these people. With a hit piece, a great before and after, unsolicited proposals, just send them bids. Guess what? Apartment complexes, sometimes they don't have it in the budget, right? Or they're like, well, we don't have that in the budget. Here's a proposal. Put it in the budget. They want to put things in the budget because if they don't, and they don't spend the budget, guess what? Their budget gets lower every year. So if they don't spend that budget, and the other beautiful thing, guys, apartment complexes, property managers, it's not their money. So do they want to spend it? Yeah, they got to. So knowing this kind of stuff. But when is budget time? September. Yep. September. People are budgeting. So in September, guess how many proposals go out of this office before September? Not quite, not quite, but about 500 apartment complex proposals will go out of this office before September. All right, so challenge and encourage your team. As you're building this beast, right, you need to challenge and encourage your team. This is the Charlotte branch. So you got the 704 phone number. Look what I did. Same thing here I did there, because this is huge. People see this. They can look. They're on the same page. Reward your goals met. Or rewards for goals met. Regular meetings are key. So as you're doing this, sales meeting every week, like AC was saying, you have to coddle your territory managers, right? They need to know that you love them, that you're there, that you're supporting them. You didn't feed them to the wolves. You need to create that company culture. Healthy competition. So when we have our chains on the wall, that's healthy competition. You can see, shoot, I'm halfway, and then you got one guy way down to the floor. When I come into the office, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go flyer today because I want to beat him, and that's healthy competition, because that's what, humans by human nature, we're driven by competition, right? We're competitive. So use that. Scorekeeping, sales board in our office. And then you got to stick to it. So the beginning of the year can be very overwhelming. You got to get your marketing out, systems in place. You're not going to have everything done. Like I was saying earlier, you're like, hey, do you have the presentation folders? Do I have them right now? I don't. Would I love to have them by now? Yes, but unfortunately didn't have those ready at this time. But they're coming. They're about a week or two out. So no big deal. But keep looking at goals and keep banging out your plan. Even if you fall behind, adjust and move forward. So again, if you do, if you have a goal of 500 proposals or whatever it is, and you come in at 200 proposals, you're still ahead of the game, right? And getting overwhelmed just wastes time. So as business owners, we don't have somebody kicking us in the butt. We don't have an owner, or we don't have a boss. So we got to put goals up on the board, and we got to stick to it. And if you don't, if you need somebody, get a coach. Like, just get an accountability partner. Somebody that's like, hey, where you at this week? On your goals. Have somebody to push you. That's what everybody kind of needs, right? I get overwhelmed. I'm like, man, what's going on? And you feel that weight in your shoulders, and then you just curl up and you're like, all right, I'm taking the week off. But what does that do? Nothing. It doesn't do anything for anybody. And then you start, kind of going downhill. So waste valuable time. So these are some of our things. Again, the wrap vehicle, the nice skid in the back. This is our commercial brochure that we use that we'll drop off at commercial properties. And then this is one, like you've seen the one that we have now. This is our old one. So make your property new again. This is one that we use. We have about 4 that we'll put out during the year. Again, just to be that different, that law of diminishing return, right? You don't want to keep using the same thing over again, because what is that? It's insane, right? That's the definition. So you want to change things up, promote things. You got SEO now. You got blogs. Vlogs, all this stuff to get out, newsletters and stuff like that, that you can use to promote and changing things up. And then reward for goals met. So your team gets discouraged too, just like us. They get discouraged if they can't get a hold of the office or whatever it may be, right? They get discouraged. That's why meetings are really key, because that's where everybody kind of comes together and they get that one-on-one time, right? But keep them motivated by rewarding them with small achievements, like racing the trucks. This guy right here is going to get a $200 bonus. He's at $235 for the thing. They're about a $200 an hour, and then they're at $215, a little bit more than that. But you race the trucks. You make it fun. Let them play the game. You've heard that? Everybody heard that saying? Let them play the game. This is a game. They need to know the rules. They need to know how they can win. Set it up so they can win. All right, reward techs who are working in the heat too. So again, sales reps get rewarded, right, for putting numbers on the board. That's easy to do. That's easy to reward them, because we see that every day. But guys, the technicians need, fun things to do too. Because if they don't get the work done, then the sales reps don't get paid, then you don't get paid, right? Everything works together. So everybody's got to be a team. All right, here's a regular meeting that I did. Whoops, sorry. So what I did was I actually put all my pictures on this board. So I had little, old school pictures, and I put them on the board. We were in this exact spot right here, had a table there, had it up right there. And I just showed them, because a lot of new guys come in and they're like, oh, and they look at me, I'm young, right? I used to have to wear glasses so people would actually take me seriously. But they would be like, oh yeah, Pat's dad must have bought the company, you know? Or he got it handed to him, or whatever it may be. That's what these technicians, think. I'm like, no, I got to go back and I got to show them. I got to tell them the story about Rugies and how I worked sweeping the parking lot and working my way up. You got to work hard, and that's the way we are in this company. If you want to work your way up in a company, you start at the bottom and you show them what you're made of and work your way up in the company. You don't just get things handed to you. So I try to instill that in them. And guys, like AC was saying, that's a huge opportunity for us, right? Because they might not, this is a stepping stone for them. They might move on to greater and better things, but guess what? I want to be a light in their life. So if they come into my company, I'm hoping to be that light in their life, to show them what hard work is, to help them to better themselves later in life, right? So that's what you want to do. So we do company meetings, and we do fun things like Christmas. We do a Christmas party, and I like to do presents and stuff, and we'll give them bonuses at the end of the year and make them feel appreciated. I mean, that goes a long way. It's a company culture. All right, so promote healthy competition. So humans are driven by competition. So set goals. And that's why this system is huge right here, because you're setting goals. It's big, it's visual. Everybody in the office can see. It's not on your phone, so only you could see. You know what I mean? You can hide it. Oh, I'm doing really bad, but nobody knows, so that's okay. You know what I mean? That's fine for me. But if everybody knows, and it's on the board that I only sold $500 this week, you better believe I'm going to be working harder to get that up, right? So define tasks. Have job descriptions. So if you're putting people in place in your company, have job descriptions. This is kind of the rules of the game. Does that make sense? So show them the rules of the game. This is what we expect of you. Because I was hard with this, because I was like, they can read my mind, right? I just expect this out of people. No. They won't sweep the shop. You know what I mean? They won't do that. You got to tell them how to do it. You got to show them what you expect. All right, and then reward for achievements. So again, make it fun. Make it, they pass their payday. You know what I mean? Make it fun. If they land on this one, they get $100. You know what I mean? It's like Monopoly, right? But guess what? If you mess up, you land in jail, you're in jail. You skip 3 turns. That might be going home for 3 days. Whatever it may be. Let them know what they're doing. If they don't put out the flyers and they're not getting the numbers on the board, I'm not, it doesn't say .org at the end of my website. This isn't a charity. I'm sorry. You're not just coming here, If you're not making money, I'm not making money. We all need to be making money. You got to scratch my back, I scratch your back. A little give and take, right? But promote it. So like Jody Stedman, Sam actually beat him last year, but Jody Stedman sold 40, I think the record is like $46,000 in 1 month out of one guy. So that's what Jody Stedman did. But he was doing this weekly, and I was giving him $50, $100, stuff like that, because he's working. If he's out there throwing flyers, he was a military guy, real driven by systems and stuff, and he would go out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, he'd be flyering. Like, he was on it. And he was making $2,200 a week in, paycheck. But pick an opponent. What I was showing you earlier, the residential, the EDDM. Pick an opponent who you need to go after. So an army without an enemy stands in apathy, unprepared. They don't know what they're doing, right? So pick an opponent. If you want to go after residential, or like you're after commercial, you're doing really well with commercial. But if you want to do residential, how are you going to do that? But pick it, find out how you're going to execute it, come up with a plan, and be confident how you're going to do it, right? And then keep score. So teams need scores, right? You got a big scoreboard at the football arena, right? You got to keep score so they know what they're doing. So you need a scoreboard, company reports, sales boards, production boards, contests and quotas. This is all tracking and stuff, guys. So every week we do a leads report. So I know how many leads. It tells me how many leads total came in and who got the leads. So territory managers bring in the leads. They're out there in the territory. They're working the territory. That's their job, right, is to bring in the leads, close the deals. So you got to track it, though, because they need to know what they're doing, right? They want to know. If they don't know what their goal is or what they're doing in the week, then they slow down, right, and they're only going to do X. So if you tell them, hey, we need to do this, This is where you're at. This is where we need to be. Boom, you hit them in the middle of the week. So they know. They're like, oh, shoot, I didn't even realize. Okay, great. I need to go out there and do some more, whatever it may be. So without a target, everyone looks like a marksman, right? All right, and if it's just you, totally fine. There's guys that want to do one truck, you know, they want to do it on their own. Completely fine. It's where you want to go. You got to find your why too. Do you want to be $1 million company? Do you want to be a $200,000 company? Do you not want to have a lot of headaches, right? Totally fine. But you are your team. Look yourself in the mirror every single day. You got to set that up. I remember I was living in an apartment complex, and my office was in my walk-in closet, you know? And like AC said, you know, we have this joke, I came out of the closet, right? But I had it. It was in my closet, in my room, and I had a wall map about this size, and I actually had a little jelly jar that I drew. And every bubble, I had circles in it to fill it all the way up. And I made a goal. And what I did on that was every bubble represented $400. Because back in the day, I was doing $200 house washes. So anyway, so every bubble was $400. And I would circle in that bubble. But if I did $200, I would half cover in that bubble. And I tracked it all out the whole year, and I got to my goal because I was tracking it. And it might be something super simple, with just a jar with bubbles in it that represented $400, and every day you would fill it in. Just keep that in mind. But it goes to Goya. Get off your butt, right? Get out there. Some people are like, well, let's run a Facebook ad this week. And that's fine, don't get me wrong. I'm not downing Facebook or all this internet stuff. It works, right? You're going to get leads, but you are not going to get as many leads as doing the popcorn marketing and in your face, out in the field marketing. That's what's going to generate leads. All right, so just remind yourself where you're headed and recite your goals and keep moving forward. It's all a mind thing, guys. You change your mind, you expand your mind to what is possible. When AC came, he was like, yeah, we started a branch, and the first month we did $160,000 in that month. And I was like, no way. I couldn't even fathom that, right, Kevin? You know, we grew up and we were living on incomes that were very low, right? And I never thought in 1 month, you know what I mean, that we would do, I think we ended up doing like $189,000 in 1 month. And when you do it, it's like, boom, your mind's exploded. But guess what? Now you got to beat it. So now you're like, oh, crud. Right? Now you got to work a little bit harder. But it's amazing. It's the opportunity out there, and going and getting it is just phenomenal. It is out there. You just got to go out there and get it. So starting out with a bang, consider special ways to thank your team. When the team comes to close, throw a 4th of July party. You know, we have a hose roll-up contest. If you can beat me rolling up 100 foot of high-pressure hose, I'm going to give you $100. Make it fun. Make it fun. What does that do for me? That speeds up production, speeds up cleaning up after the job's done, because they're practicing. They're like, oh, I'm going to beat Pat this year. And they're rolling it up, right? So it speeds up cleanup at the end of the job.